How was I supposed to know that I would be the one responsible for making sure good would reign throughout the universe for all eternity? I was just a girl from Midland terrain on Earth. I never thought of myself as brave, courageous, passionate, or valiant. And hope? I tossed that to the wind once my family went mysteriously missing. I became a recluse and swore I'd never love again. Too much pain when you lose someone. I remember well the day a basket appeared on my doorstep. I chastised myself for allowing it to happen, but I couldn't help falling in love with and becoming a soulmate to the little furball inside, whose name, according to the note, was Whiskey. I decided we'd run away to escape life's problems. As I was treasure hunting for morsels of food and newspaper for blankets, a quirky man appeared from behind the dumpster. He said his name was, oddly enough, the man behind the dumpster. He offered us a small furnished apartment. Reluctant, yet thankful, I accepted his offer. I thought it strange that Whiskey appeared to recognize the fidgety character, and vice versa. A few days passed, and things got even stranger. When Whiskey started barking like crazy, I peered through the keyhole into the bedroom and saw a little round man place something shiny on my nightstand. Before he magically disappeared, Whiskey seemed to recognize him too. With Whiskey beside me on the bed, I took the shiny object from the nightstand. I read the attached card, and the bed began to rise. Without crashing through the ceiling, we ended up floating above the world of Maycly. Fireballs shooting through the darkness barely missed our bed. Since I no longer believed in Ithrillians, you can imagine my surprise when one rescued us. We burst from the darkness and began to fly over the best parts of the enchanted world of Maycly, the happily ever after world, which the Book of Good and Evil promises to those who believe. Maycly is filled with stunning flora and fauna. It's inhabited by humans, Ithrillians, and Chuckans. Early on, the original Chief Ithrillian gave in to pride and greed, sending Maycly into a dreadfully dark time. After 2 major battles, good prevailed, but at a major cost. Unexpectedly, Sol, the Grand Wizard, the Creator, became too weak to finish his plan of creating Hidden Earth. This is when he instructed me to complete a multifaceted quest that entailed delivering and activating momentous triggers on 4 elemental planets, the worlds of Hidden Earth. The successful completion on my part would spark 3 paramount events: the creation of Hidden Earth, the recreation of Maycly, and the restoration of good to the entire universe for eternity. The fate of the future rested on my shoulders. No pressure. Sol requested that Whiskey stay behind, which made it harder for me to agree to the quest. However, I accepted the challenge of the unexpected race against time. My first stop was Planet Land. Though it resembled the Old West, this world's magical flair was new to me. Cub and Nash, 2 10-year-old cowboys, a magic, walking, talking book, and a weathered cowhand riding a blunderpoke continually pursued an outlaw who persisted in trying to thwart our success. As if that weren't enough, a passenger steam locomotive jumped the track off an immensely high trestle. Out of nowhere, Whiskey showed up, but his reason for joining us was not good news. Hoping my responsibility had been fulfilled on Planet Land, I headed to Planet Water. The floating islands were truly impressive. I learned firsthand that Vikings, Draegr, Berserkers, and enchanted tall ships are real. Arowana, a young girl who had just turned 16, wasn't keen on being summoned by Sol to set sail on an enchanted tall ship. Broken-hearted, I watched her go through her trials and empathized with her upon having to face the pain of a great loss. Anticipating that I had started this world's trigger correctly, I gulped and took off for Planet Sky, where I inadvertently flew into the midst of an aerial dragon battle. A few days earlier on Planet Sky, the young girl, Kiwi, leapt onto her dragon from the perch of her human-sized birdhouse nestled in the branches of a giant, colourful tree. That was the day she had mustered the courage to fly her dragon to the evil side of the planet in search of her long-lost parents. The evil side held mountainous charred terrain filled with wicked leviathans. Adding a creepy old witch, a harpy eagle, and a fairy dragon to the mix made me uncertain how this trigger could possibly ever work. But I had to make my best attempt, and I had to get to Planet Fire. The end of my quest was in sight. Beaten and chained in a damp, musty cell with no recollection of getting there, I regained consciousness. Planet Fire was the most difficult to conquer, though the steampunk Polynesian motif made for a jaw-dropping adventure. If dinosaurs weren't trying to eat us, Grumners were. On a brighter note, we ran atop blue tree roots that towered 30 feet, and our travels in the dirigible were splendid indeed. It was just like Sizzle to provide, at just the right moment, magic armour and weaponry that appeared out of nowhere. And had it not been for Balthazar the automaton, I would have given up at the horrific sight that evil forced me to watch. Devastated, but aware of my responsibility, I left Planet Fire. My return flights to Maycly entailed conflict after conflict. Familiar beings from the worlds of Hidden Earth were stalking me. When I approached Maycly's dangling roots, now falling prey to wicked dragons, I wondered how we would ever get out of this mess. The 4 worlds of Hidden Earth had become a jumbled mass beneath Maycly, and Maycly's terrain was being consumed by evil. Many others, like me, felt at fault for this grand debacle. Yet the mix of emotions led us all to wonder whether to feel ashamed because of our failures, or overwhelmed with joy because of our victories. But the most important thing we learned through it all was this. It's not about being perfect. It's about our happily ever after.